So the other thing I just want to in this session is just go through a little bit of the land acquisition position itself and what it encompasses and kind of the background. And typically, say with a home builder, you will have a fairly seasoned land acquisition professional who is heading up the department. And generally they're a director or vice president level. Usually I would say somebody's heading this got a minimum of 10 years experience, and a lot have 20, 30 years of experience that are really kind of the right-hand man of the division president leading this land acquisition function. And I think in a lot of cases, and it depends how big the builder is or the developer as well, but a lot of cases this land acquisition professional might be pretty much on his own, might have a secretary or administrative assistant or an analyst to helping, but largely it's a fairly small department. You'll also see if it's a bigger builder, this seasoned vice president may have a manager of land acquisition or an assistant land acquisition manager that maybe has a year or two of experience or maybe 5 years of experience and trying to essentially manage more high volume acquisition department. I've also seen where, take here in Southern California, where you might have a vice president who is covering a wide territory and will have land acquisition managers and maybe 3 of them in different territories and managing. That's really kind of a bigger land acquisition department. But like I said, generally you're going to have a senior person heading this up because the division president is going to have to rely on a seasoned person to manage this function. And again, there's a lot of functions that you're going to be managing and experience is necessary. And I will say, which is, if this is someone like yourself, as the head of a land acquisition department, you really need to wear a lot of different hats. And, maybe other roles, you're more of a civil engineer or a planner or, managing marketing and sales. This is a role where you really need to manage a lot of different functions. And I'd mentioned you're going to be leading a team of people, and some of those people are internal in your company. A lot of them are external to the company, such as attorneys and consultants, civil engineers, market analysts. So like I said, you wear a lot of different hats, and a lot of times that appeals to a lot of people because every day is a little bit different and you're tending to a different function, and maybe some people prefer just to kind of deal with one function. But anyway, I think, in case of myself, I really enjoyed that. It was really enjoyable to kind of touch on a lot of different elements of the whole development process, and you really need to do that because, again, you're buying the land up front, you're locking into a price, and it becomes the economic basis for your project. So, let's talk about some of these hats that, you would wear as a land acquisition professional. One is you're a business networker, or in some ways I like to think of as you're a salesman, because you're out there looking for opportunities and you're pitching your company and why you should have the first shot or your offer should be selected to purchase the property. So you really have to have a network. You've got to be fairly social. You've got to pitch and sell. And if you haven't done this, I think if you get in this role, you'll find out you're going to have to be pretty good at that. And really, that's a really essential role as far as finding not only a lot of land opportunities, because you don't close on them all, but you have to have a good pipeline, and you want to have a lot of deals on the table because a lot of them don't work out. So you always want to be seeing deal flow from land sellers, from land brokers, so that you're really trying to find the ones that work for you and also find the ones that are profitable as well. So being a networker is a really important aspect. Another one is negotiator. I mean, you're going to be constantly negotiating, and you may be negotiating with the land seller. You may be negotiating with the city because you're going through the process, but being able to negotiate and keep a deal alive, and it's a big part of your project, and it's something you learn with experience. And you're trying to compete for land, and usually if you're in a good market, you've got a lot of other builders competing with you for land, or if you're a developer, other developers competing from that land seller. So very key aspect in terms of what your role is. Another one, which is to be a financial analyst. And as I'd mentioned, I started as a financial analyst in this business and really highly value kind of that experience, because you've got to make the land deal and there eventually the full project work financially. And usually as a land acquisition professional, you're generally in charge of putting together that final pro forma that you take to either your corporate land committee or your owner, and showing them financially how the deal's going to work and that it does meet the minimum profit requirement. So, you typically have the financial pro formas and cash flows, and they're usually in Excel models that you should be fairly skilled at being able how to do one. And I'd say that's a really critical role. You might in some cases have a seasoned land act professional and maybe not as strong in the financial analysis skills, and the company will value your networking and ability to negotiate and get deals, and assign a financial analyst to you. So I've seen that as well. But I just think having a financial background is extremely important, and really makes you more effective as a land acquisition guy. The other is a market analyst, and I'd mentioned, you have to know what's your locational attributes, what can you sell homes for, how quickly, are there challenges in selling homes in this location, what's the surrounding areas like. Usually when you're doing land acquisition, you'll have your internal marketing department will weigh in on the pricing opportunities, or also you use outside market consultants to prepare a specific study for this location. And that becomes a very key part. In any aspect of it, you still need, as a land acquisition person, to be able to understand the market. And even if you're just going through deals preliminary, you're going to have a sense of the market, and you're going to know what you think homes are going to sell for really quickly, or you should, so you can kind of know whether you want to pursue this and spend your time on it or not. So anyway, market analyst, very key aspect.